Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, back again with Star Trek Picard. Last time on Star Trek Picard, we had absolute candor. What all happened last time?
Well, we saw at the very beginning the flashback to when Picard was trying to help the Romulans, but then got interrupted by the synth attack on Mars. Then we see him, flashing back to the present time, where he is having conversations with his new crew and how they need to go back to the Vashti, the planet there, and he ultimately meets up with a young boy who was essentially part of a convent of warrior nuns.
Yeah.
And he ultimately ends up choosing to join the quest that Picard and the others are on. And then right at the very end, a surprise guest star.
Yep. 7 of 9 showed up right at the end there. So we will have to see what she's doing all the way out here. Yeah, that was pretty much it. We also, the other thing that happened in that episode was we did cut back to Soji. Nothing happened, and then we cut back, and that was that. So, I'm sure there is stuff that happens in those scenes, but it's not enough to really get us on those.
Yeah,
so,
frustrating storyline at the moment. I'm sure it will get better.
It
obviously has to, because she's the object of the quest. So
right, it's a slow build on her. So, but yeah, that was pretty much that, I guess. This is where I go into my whole thing about how you can watch this reaction to this episode of Star Trek Picard. Like always, link is in the description, or you can also go to the pinned comment on this video in the comments section, and there'll be a link there which will take you to our 10-minute reaction. You can watch that, you can have a good time, and hopefully when you're done with that, you will pop right back over here to this YouTube video for the discussion. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's it.
So we might as well get right into this episode of Star Trek Picard. Here we go.
Make it so.
A lot of things happened in that episode. And that's the halfway point on the season now. 7 of 9 needs to be helped by Janeway in a Janeway show. That's what we need. Is a Janeway show where she restores 7 of 9 to where she used to be.
That was rather intriguing.
Yeah,
little cameo there.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can go ahead and jump into the notes here. The first thing I wrote down was Icheb. So, was Icheb in Voyager?
Yes.
Okay, I don't fully remember that episode.
Yeah, he was, if I recall correctly now that I'm thinking about it, he was a young boy, who had been captured by the Borg, and the EMHs took the nano probes out of him or whatever. And so he was on his way to recovery too.
Okay.
I think. Again, it's been it's been about 10 years since we've watched Voyager, but
yeah, and that would line up with him having grown into a man to be her son, basically. Yeah. So that makes sense. That was interesting, and that was painful to watch. That just taking it all out.
And when the closed captioning says, squelching sounds, that just makes it worse.
Yeah. and then they cut to it, because I feel like they were okay, they're cutting away, they don't really want to show it, and then they just showed it's nope, we're yanking this eyeball out, here we go. It's all right, if you want to do that. So yeah, that was interesting. And then just 7 of 9 coming in, just completely mowing everyone down, was also cool. Let's see. We finally got Maddox in this episode.
And now we don't have him.
Yeah. I feel like that's the same actor from Next Generation.
It probably is. I mean, they seem to be doing a great job of tracking these people down. Makes you wonder if that's the young boy who played Icheb before on. We'd have to look that up to make sure.
Oh, yeah. It might be. The timing would match up because Voyager was in the 90s. Yeah. So it's entirely possible. Let's see.
And so Agnes has a secret that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, so I guess she's in on it.
But again, what's weird is she was, having a panic attack during the whole, can I do the transporting and everything. So whatever she's in on, she's not a willing participant. Right? It seems to me that she's in a very sad state about this, and she's having to do it for some reason that we don't know yet.
Well, and she even said, I wish I didn't know what I knew. I wish they didn't show me this. So there is something like, I suppose the Tal Shiar, forced her to be a part of this somehow. So, which I guess it's good that this is there, because you can start to wonder, it's like, okay, well, why exactly did she come on this journey? It's like, oh, is it just to meet Soji and stuff? But it is sort of, now she does have this secret motivation. Yeah. Let's see. I wrote down the Fenris Rangers that 7 of 9 is.
And again, I swear the name Fenris has some historical context, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, they probably used all of these names and words specifically to bug you, because you can't think of what they are. So
I will look you up.
Yeah. The Fenris Rangers, which are led by 7 of 9. She has definitely changed since Voyager. There's not, I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of, her more cold and calculating personality that she had in Voyager, but it's like, okay, well, it's years and years later. It's okay if she, has reclaimed some more of her humanity, and she's not so Borg-like she was in Voyager. But at the same time, it's like she's gone away from how cold, the cold demeanor of the Borg, to a different cold demeanor now.
You got to do what you got to do.
Right.
She's a vigilante. She's Batman and all the rest of them.
Which honestly, I feel like we're missing a show about that. Why don't we have a show about her? Or a
Star
book
Trek
or something.
Rangers.
Yeah, Star Trek Fenris, Star Trek 7. There you go. They never made a 7th. A Star Trek 7. They just went from 6 to Generations, so they could do it. So the Fenris Rangers, they came in to sort of keep order as much as they could after the collapse of the Romulan neutral zone, which also was an interesting thing at the end when they were like, oh, you want to fly into Romulan space? And it's like, do the Romulans have space anymore? They're just kind of... they're scattered around, but it's like...
Yeah, that was... again, hopefully they'll have some kind of explanation of that. But yeah, when the neutral zone collapsed, does that mean that outsiders invaded what was left of the old Romulan Empire? Because the Romulans certainly weren't going to be policing it anymore.
Right.
So you kind of get that feeling with the whole Free Cloud thing there, that perhaps it became the... Wild West frontier area where laws don't apply, and so the Rangers have to... kind of like the Texas Rangers did out in the frontier.
Yeah, and especially because, if this is all in the former neutral zone, it's like, well, the Federation doesn't really have jurisdiction there. They haven't gone that far out. So it is sort of like the Wild West. I would assume, maybe some warlords have popped up too.
Yeah.
And so that is what 7 of 9 is doing, is trying to keep some semblance of order there. Which is interesting. Again, I feel like we should have a show on that. That sounds like a really great show.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if, because, okay, we have 7 of 9 in this episode. It seems like we're not going to get her back, at least not anytime soon. Maybe she'll come back, in the finale, but it seems like she's going to be gone for a while. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they used this episode as sort of a backdoor pilot for a show about her and the Fenris.
Yeah. Now, didn't we in the preview see Picard sitting with Riker at some point? And we haven't seen him yet, have we?
No, we haven't. I think he should pop up sometime. All I knew... I know in the trailer they definitely showed 7 of 9, and I do think Riker is supposed to show up at some point. Okay. So... I don't know. We still have 5 more episodes, so...
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a place where we would find the, very uptight Will Riker. But then again, he could come in at the end with the whatever ship he's captaining. And,
yeah, I guess he would, unless he's changed ships, he would probably still be on the Titan, because that's what he was getting command of at the end of Nemesis. So, yeah, he could potentially show up. Maybe it would be interesting if he came in at sort of this, Romulan neutral zone where all this chaos is happening. If maybe he was the first sort of attempt by the Federation to try to bring order to this area.
Yeah.
Which again could be another show, honestly.
So we're writing Star Trek's future for the next 10 years here.
Yeah, honestly, you can. Let's see. I wrote down Bejazel, which is an interesting name too. Bejazel. That she was interesting.
Now, she wasn't the doctor who was extracting the eyeball, was she? But we heard her name in that.
Yeah, I think she pays them. I think she was the boss of those people. Okay. So when someone walks in, they think it's Bejazel, and it turns out to be 7 of 9. So yeah. So she salvages Borg parts
to sell them.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah.
And she learned about Icheb through 7 of 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Because she was posing as just one of the Fenris Rangers. All right, that's interesting. And I do feel bad for Icheb now. It's like if we ever watch Voyager again, we get to a little Borg kid, and it's like, he's good now. It's like 7 of 9 had a mercy kill him in the future. It's like, that kind of sucks. Well, oh well. I mean, sometimes that happens. I mean, of course, same thing with Maddox. If you go back to that episode of Next Gen, with the trial and everything on if Data does constitute a sentient being and stuff, it's like, you go back to that, it's like, poor guy, he dies, he just wanted to make some cookies, wanted to make androids and cookies. And which I also like that. I like that scene where it's like he replicated all the ingredients and then made the cookies himself. Yeah. I thought that was funny. And Agnes saying it's like, and then you set all these on fire. It's like, no, I put them all together and I bake them in an oven. Like, just the concept is just so foreign to her at this point in the future.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
But it's kind of also what he does. I mean, he takes all these parts and he builds androids. I mean,
yeah. So. And he did say it was him and Sung. It was Dr. Sung, I guess, that also helped develop Dodge and Soji, which is interesting. Which, I mean, Dr. Sung's got to be getting old at that point. He was old in Next Gen, So that's interesting. Maybe we'll get him back. I guess they won't have to do any de-aging on Brent Spiner if they do that. So, although they might still have to just do aging on him. Like I don't think you can ever get old enough to accurately portray Dr. Soong.
Well, he'd probably be in his late 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
Now. So.
Let's see. I wrote down Free Cloud. Free Cloud, the most not Star Trek planet we've ever seen. Like, that seemed like a Guardians of the Galaxy planet.
Yeah.
But I did like it. It was interesting to see.
Well, yeah, no, it's your basic frontier town. I mean, it's Las Vegas. It's, Reno, Nevada, and places like that where, prostitution is legal, gambling is legal, everything that you could want. And, it has to be on the fringes because the, uptight Federation and other civilizations look at it and go, well, we'd rather not have that stuff here, so we'll just, scoot it on out there into the former neutral zone and let it do what it wants to do out there.
Yeah, and an overabundance of colorful holograms and everything, which was interesting. Let's see. We did get a bit of... We got why Raffi wanted to go to Free Cloud, more specifically, to meet up with her son, which I'm kind of going back and forth on this, because, like, on the one hand, I do understand where he's coming from with how... Okay, so she abandoned him and his father because of this conspiracy, or at least to them it was just this crackpot conspiracy. But to her, it was, no, this is legit. There's something wrong about the attack on Mars. So I understand it from his perspective, but also from her perspective of she is trying to do better. You know, she did finally, you know, even though it's really late, she is trying to reach out, and he's completely denying her. So I'm kind of going back and forth on that. It's like, well, you get both sides of it.
He may also reappear later on. You know,
Yeah.
they usually try to wrap this stuff up in a neat little bundle. So there may be, if not a reconciliation, at least an acceptance of the fact that she is trying. So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Star Trek is all about, you know, the hope for the future. So
Tell it to Icheb, though. They had to mercy kill him. It sucked. So maybe they won't. Who knows? The show is getting a little darker.
Kirk died, you know, in Star Trek Generations.
Yeah.
Because he had to further that plot. And even though they brought him back, he then had to die again. So, I mean, it's... You understand that, yeah, Icheb, that one little character, suffers a really horrible fate. But it's in, you know, service of the greater story, so...
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we did get our sort of infiltration to try to get to Bjayzl, where Rios wore the most ridiculous green jacket and orange hat.
I believe he looked like a pimp.
Yeah. And then Picard was actually French. Well, even... I love that the captions, every time he started talking, it said cartoonish French accent. Like, the captions wanted to overemphasize how dumb he sounded. But he had, you know, this nice jacket, a scarf, a beret, and an eye patch. It's like, okay, one of these things is French. The rest is just goofy. But I did like that.
Now go away before I taunt you a second time.
Yeah. So that was just funny. It's like, well... What would be his, you know, fake accent that he's going to use? Like, well, he's going to use a French accent. It's like, but he is supposed to be French. But he's normally British. Like, how does France work in Star Trek? I don't understand.
Well, maybe by the 24th century, all of the accents have kind of blended together. They all speak a variation of English.
Maybe. Or, at some point... Britain takes over France, and so now all the French just sound British. So, if you go back to, like, you know, old TV shows and stuff, the French accent is still there, and that's what Picard is drawing from.
Yeah, I don't suspect that the British and the French would ever be in that kind of a situation again. There's too much history between those two countries.
Yeah,
and you know, they each have their victories, they each have their losses. So.
Yeah,
but yeah, but again, the French accent was just one that he would know because, you know, he is supposedly a Frenchman who has an English background. I mean, I don't know if they ever really explained how he ended up speaking English with an English accent instead of speaking English with a French accent.
I don't think they ever do. Yeah. I think he just is English, but in canon he's French. So, I don't know. Let's see. I wrote down Annika, which I guess... Was that Seven of Nine's
yes,
real
that's her
name?
real name. Yeah.
Okay.
That's who she was. She was, again, just a small girl, very young girl when she was...
Right.
Assimilated. That's the word. Sorry.
Yeah. Which is interesting that Bjayzl specifically calls her by her original name when... She doesn't even do that. She has never really used that name before. Everyone just calls her Seven of Nine, which is interesting.
I think at the very end of Voyager, I want to say Janeway started to call her that. Said, you know, you need to try to get back to being Annika again. But yeah, it's obvious since then that she really just understands that she was Seven of Nine longer than she was ever Annika, and she just needs to accept that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I wrote down the humanity. So, yeah, Picard's line of, you know, we are working on keeping our humanity, reclaiming our humanity, which, again, it's like, even he is saying, it's like, I'm still not fully there after I was assimilated, but he wasn't assimilated for that long, honestly. I don't know how long it was in the show, but, I mean... Maybe a few episodes at the most.
Well, yeah, but go back to First Contact, when the Borg invade the ship, and he, literally starts slaughtering them, and I can't remember what her name was, the woman that he picked up from the colony, and she said, you know, when you were killing these Borg, that was anger, that was, revenge, and you can't talk to me about all this high-minded stuff when I saw you literally murder these people. You didn't have to kill them. So it's still in there, and I think that's what she was doing too. She says, no matter how hard we try, there is still that somewhat animal instinct in people that there are just certain times that it has to come out.
Yeah, and this does show how far Picard has come since First Contact, where, you're right, he was just completely trying to get rid of the Borg and just kill them, which brings up the Moby Dick comparison, and to now saying, no, you can't, revenge is not the answer. So he has come a long way since then. And then the last thing I wrote down was the conspiracy that Maddox briefly talked about to Picard, which luckily Picard got a decent amount of information out of him before Agnes killed him. So it is possible that this conspiracy, it's not just the Tal Shiar, but it could also be in the Federation itself, which is interesting, which I guess could kind of make sense. Maybe there are some bad eggs in the Federation.
Well, that goes back to, I again don't know if you remember this, but there was a whole season, basically, during Next Generation, where Picard begins to understand that there's something wrong with the leadership at Starfleet, and when he goes back home and finds out that most of the leadership has been taken over by an alien species, and he has to root them all out, and everybody thinks he's crazy. So this is kind of an echo of that.
Yeah, and you could also say, like, well, it would make sense that there are some bad people in the Federation. I mean, first off, the people that didn't want to save Romulus or the Romulans in the first place, but also people that may want some sort of destruction or maybe another war or something, which we also saw in Star Trek Into Darkness, where the main villain of that, not Khan but Peter Weller, the main villain was trying to incite war with the Klingons. So it could be something similar to that. And then Maddox died. So, because apparently Agnes is in on it too. It maybe not voluntarily, but she is somewhat in on it. So yeah, that is unfortunate. But yeah, so now we know at least Picard actually knows Soji's name, which I only just realized in this episode. It's like, oh yeah, I guess he doesn't know. He's really just been going out there, just hoping to find her somewhere. But I mean, yes, he was going to Maddox to try to get this information. So he knows who he's going for, and we do know now that it was also Dr. Soong who helped develop Dahj and Sochi, and they are on their way to the artifact. So, yeah, that will pretty much take us into the next episode. So,
Star Trek, the next episode.
Yeah.
TNE.
But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, unless you got anything else.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, then we will get to the next episode some other time. Whenever that is.
Whenever.
Yeah. We will catch up, and probably at some point we will get back on the normal schedule for it. But yeah.
How long did the doctor say to keep the cast on?
I've got 2 more weeks with this thing.
All right.
So, yeah.
But he's starting to, get some use back. He said today he took it off and actually was able to play with the mouse for a bit.
I was actually writing with my right hand during the last episode that we filmed. But I can't keep it off forever. So, but yeah, that is pretty much it. I've said like 8 times. So, so we might as well end this before I say again. So, with all that being said,
live long and prosper.
Yeah, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our Star Trek Picard reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.